Hi guys, Heather here with Azalea Pools and Outdoor Living, here to quickly talk to you about surveys. So we get questions a lot about, do I have to have a survey for a pool? Honestly, you really need one. Why? Because most of the time we will need it for permitting. So better go ahead and have one. Second, even when we design a pool, we need to know the outline of your house. We need to know your setbacks. We need to know your impervious maximum, and we'll talk about what impervious means. Any kind of utilities or easements that are on your property, so we know exactly where we can put your pool. Separate from that, if you have a septic, we would need a septic plan. That is separate from a survey, but that is something that I don't want to say play with a little bit, but there are other ways of figuring out where your septic is without necessarily having to call in a soil scientist to mark a whole plan. That gets kind of pricey. But for now, I would say definitely get a survey. Now on your survey, things that we need, like I said, the impervious. I'll discuss that in a second, what I'm talking about, what impervious or impervious surface area actually means. So you need that. You need your house layout. Exactly. You need any other physical structures that are permanent that is on your property. That needs to be on your survey. Any kind of hardscaping, from like your concrete driveway to walkways, any paver patios, even wood decks, they need to be on the survey. Property lines, setbacks, easements, all those have to be designated on the survey. Now, I mentioned the word impervious or impervious surface area. What does that mean? So impervious means anything that's permanently on your property that water cannot penetrate. So concrete, like a concrete driveway, the roof of your house, the roof of a outbuilding like a shed, any kind of paver, travertine patio that you have. Wood decks typically do not follow impervious as long as they do not have anything underneath that would stop water from penetrating. So say you have a raised little deck off of your bedroom, but underneath you decide you want to put pavers in. Well, now that counts as impervious. All properties have a maximum impervious surface area. So on a survey, if you see MISA, that means that is the max you can have. Heather, what does that mean for pools? Well, the coping around a pool counts toward impervious. Any pool decking, unless you are using a wood product with nothing, like I said, solid underneath, would count to your impervious. So if you've got, say, only 500 square feet of impervious left according to your survey, that's all we have to work with as far as getting you pool decking, your pool coping, and we have to keep some out for your equipment pad. Because the equipment pad, guess what? The equipment package, it sits on concrete. So these are very key things we need to know before we even start designing a pool. Another thing with surveys, there are two different types of surveys. There's probably more, but two that I really deal with. It's your traditional survey, which just has exactly what I just listed. There's also one called a topographical survey. So it takes a regular survey and then it actually tells you the elevations of your yard. This is exceptionally helpful This is exceptionally helpful if you are on any kind of incline. Now, if you're like a 1 foot slope over a long distance, we don't care about that. But we have had some pools that, I'm not lying, when their backyard's like this. So having the topographical helps us figure out how much retaining walls you would need, where we can put your pool, all that kind of stuff. It just makes it better and easier, and we can be a lot more precise. So I would definitely, if they give you the option of a topographical survey, versus just a regular survey and you're on any kind of incline, please get that. It just saves us a lot of headache. I mean, we will go out and take our own elevations, but to compare it between that and a survey, which technically on the day that the survey was done, the day they stamped it, that is the most accurate representation of your property. So, because that's a lot of times that's filed. So yeah, we really like that because that's somebody's, license on the line that says, yes, I 1000% said this is what your property looks like. It just, it creates a lot less drama in the long run. But so when I say survey, please get one. Are there ways to get around a survey? Yes. Can it become problematic? Also, yes. There is a little bit of leniency, but the biggest thing is without a survey or without a plat map from your subdivision or anything like that, what a plat map is, if you don't know, they'll basically just outline your lot within the subdivision of like multiple lots. And they'll tell you how long each of your property lines are. And that's pretty much all it does. Sometimes they'll give us, your maximum impervious for that lot, but I don't know the impervious of your house. I wouldn't know the impervious of your concrete driveway. So any of that we would have to try to hand measure and it could just be off. And so the powers that be may not like it. So the best thing to do is always get a survey. If this is a new house and if you're buying a home, either a brand new, newly built home or a new to you home, highly recommend always getting a survey. It's the easiest time to do it. That way you just have it. Always ask for an electronic copy so you can send it to your pool builder so they have it for easy access, and they can import it into their system and do a beautiful pool design for you. I think that's about all I can think of right off the top of my head about surveys. If you have any questions, please let me know. I can briefly talk really quickly about septic plan, but the biggest thing with the septic plan is we just need to know where your septic is. Oh, one other thing. I did think about something. I knew there was something. A lot of new built homes I'm just talking about Wake County because that is the area we mostly work in, especially in the newer subdivisions, some of these larger subdivisions, these nice pretty lots, they are starting, when they're building their house, they are starting to put in what I would call a pool designated area. So meaning they're already planning for if you decide you want a pool. That's fantastic for any pool builder. I'm going to put copies of a regular survey. I think I've done it before, but I would like to show you a good survey, a not good survey, and I'll put on there not good survey, and a topographical survey, also one that has a designated pool area, just so you can kind of see the difference. As always, if you got any questions, please let me know. Best way to contact me is actually through the website. I'm sorry, because I'm really bad about reading comments. I really need to be better. It's not that I don't care. It's honestly because I'm trying to do a lot and tend to fall down to the end of down to the bottom. Anyway, if you do have questions, please reach me through our website, www.azaleapoolsnc.com. Go through the contact. You can just click whatever and just put your comment in the box. Or you can reach me at heather@azaleapoolsnc.com. That also works. I'd be happy to hear your feedback. Again, we'll talk more pools in a while.